Hello viewers and welcome to part 15 of the Clueless Cactus Final Fantasy XIV story playthrough as per requested by Twitch viewers. More bad monotone dialogue incoming, now where we left off, trying to figure out how to beat the bejesus out of Leviathan. Now look here you'll have your bloody story right after you carry those sacks of grain over to the mill. But sir, that's what you said before you had me pick those oranges for you, and before I mucked out the chocobo stables, and before I rolled that millstone over to the mill, and also before... Gods, man, I worked 3 days straight without a wink of sleep. 3 days! And do you hear me complaining? Bah, I suppose some of us just ain't made for the rougher stuff. Alright, alright. I'll give you what you want. Never let it be said that old Traktoum ain't a generous soul. Now prick up your ears, because I won't be repeating myself. Too modest, see? Besides, there's only so much epicness a man can take in one sitting, you ken. Ahem, the tale of Traktoum's epic victory over the dread primal Leviathan. What? Now, Leviathan is huge. Make no mistake. Is this like Leviathan on diabetes? To give you an idea how big each of his scales is about as wide across as my members long. And that's no mean feat, let me tell ye. When I fought him, I could barely see for all the brine he was pelting me with. Must have been a lagoon's worth at least. He even knocked me trusty axe out of my hand at one stage. Of course, that proved to be a grave mistake. What happened next? Why, I grabbed him by the tail and tied him up in knots. But not wanting to take all the glory for myself, I let me mates and the company heroes handle the rest. Like I said, I'm modest as well as heroic. Mayhap too modest. Now, there's some as say you can never truly beat Leviathan, that you've got to live with him and make the best of a bad situation. Not the company, though. So he's gonna see me and realize that yeah. It's you. You're right, it's me. You're screwed now. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I was just enjoying the attention is all. I take back everything I said. I was never part of the company heroes. I'm no marauder. I'm actually a complete coward. I'm nothing. I'm chocobo done. No, I'm the maggots you find wriggling in chocobo done. I have to lie to women to tumble them, and that don't happen much. My member's tiny. It's pathetic. Oh my god. I sure as hell didn't fight Leviathan, but I have seen him with me own eyes. 'Twas a fair few years back, when I was working as a baker's hand. I was shirking me duties one day, loitering about the harbor. Shirking his duties, you don't say? When I saw it, a great big massive sea serpent some moms off the coast, with a fleet of galleons making straight for it, cannons firing. I was so bloody scared I sold myself right there and then. What? Oh gods, just remember that day made me swell myself all over again. Hey, wait, if you're here asking about Leviathan, it means you're planning to fight him, ain't ya? Well, take care, he really is terrible. Dreadful, I tell ya. If you're not careful, you'll end up in his gullet or at the bottom of the sea. Why, you worthless lion, I can't believe you made me handle chocobo dung. Don't believe everyone you meet. Amber, this has been Philia. Were you able to learn aught of use against Leviathan? I beg your pardon, Leviathan? I see, that is unfortunate. At any rate, I have tidings for you. The twin vessel is now complete. We await you at Morby Dry Docks. Pray make your way here as soon as you are able. This guy needs a hobby, and not drinking. Leviathan, oh my god. Can only imagine fighting a morbidly obese Leviathan. I'm told your jaunt to the Grey Fleet proved fruitless. My sympathies, lass. I'll wager it served to take your mind off the events of recent days, though. But enough of that nonsense. The moment of truth is upon us. The twin vessel, the Horror Leader, I call her, is complete, and she surpasses all my expectations. In addition to her prodigious tonnage, She has been fitted with a platform that you and yours might maneuver freely in battle. I would mention also that she is nigh unsinkable, but I'm not one to tempt fate. The Horror Leader and her crew stand ready, my friend. Just give the word and we shall bear you to Leviathan. Lord of the Horror. Enzar stands ready to send you off to your encounter with the Lord of the Horror. Having been constructed in some haste, the Horror Eater may not be pretty, but I assure you she's capable. She has been fitted with what our friends at Naldic at the Consortium are calling an elemental converter. Assuming the thing works, it will use the power of the corrupted crystals on board to rob Leviathan of his hold over water. Depending on how the battle unfolds, you may well need to activate the device manually. Keep that in mind. No, you will have to do it manually. It is expected that the Sahagin and their thralls will attempt to come to Leviathan's defense. Accordingly, the Maelstrom will once again employ diversions. Thrinker and Y'shtola, I would have you assist in this effort. If it is to fulfill its purpose, your diversionary force must not want for numbers. By your leave, I too would volunteer my blade. We would welcome it. Having seen you fight in Sapsa, I dare say the fishbacks will find your presence highly diverting. Thancred and Y'shtola, if you would join the 3rd Levy and Lady Yugiri the 5th. But what words have I for the woman who has made a sport of slaying gods? Only these: go warily, for the sea is an unforgiving place to wage war. May the navigator guide you through the storm, warrior of light. I would echo the Admiral's sentiments and add a few words of mine own. Know that we all have the utmost faith in you, Amber. May the crystal bless and keep you. Actually, I'm kind of hoping the boat does that. But okay. There he is, Leviabetes. Now this is how this one is going to go. For the first phase, you just have to attack him until he disappears. When he disappears, listen for the direction that you hear the water jet, because that's where he's going to slam down. Try not to be on his side, because if you're under him when he slams down, you're going to take damage. Then both his head and his tail are going to pop up on opposite sides of the ship, so make sure that if you're a tank, one tank on each part, please. The head will reflect all physical range damage, while the tail will reflect all magic damage. So if you are, say, a bard, make sure to attack the tail, and if you are, say, a black mage, make sure to attack the head. Melee doesn't matter. During this, it will do AoEs randomly. You can't really dodge them, it doesn't matter. Just keep smacking things, and tanks pick up the adds and kill them. Eventually, these 4 golden orbs will appear called Gyre Spumes. You're going to want to kill them. Once you've killed them all, you will be able to set up the shield. As soon as he dives down, you pop that shield that's on the opposite end. It's in the middle, glowing, kind of looks golden. Regardless of how much health you have, you will wipe if you do not do that in time. Make sure not to just camp it in case he throws an AoE on you. That makes you slow. That's the last thing you want. After that, it's pretty much, well, a similar thing, but he'll start casting these AoEs that you can dodge if you look at the ground and you see that there's this little circle of water about to appear. Make sure to get out of that or you're going to get hysterical and run off in a random direction. Not going to help anyone. Other than that, that's pretty much all it to the fight. Good luck. That was easy. Back to Limsa. Okay, turn it in as a black mage. Knowing the urgency of your business, I thought it best to refrain from making conversation during your past few visits, but today I will permit myself a few words. Ahem, I feel truly privileged to have had the honor of admitting a hero such as you. You're an inspiration to us all, madame. No, actually, I'm just doing this for the guild. And on that note, the Admiral awaits you in the command room. Wink. What the hell did you wink for? Creepy dude. Oh, that's fun. I hope you have fun on Minecraft.
We Lominsons are sworn to strive, till sea swallows all. And swallow all it would have, had Leviathan prevailed. That we still strive now, we owe in no small part to you. Not for the first time, you have delivered Limsa Lominsa from the wrath of a primal. Never has our nation known a stouter ally. On behalf of my people, I give you my humblest thanks. 'Tis meet that I give thanks to old Mistbeard, too, for his fine solution. Whatever else he may have been, 'tis clear he was a resourceful soul. Would that I had a man like him in my service.
Before I set foot in these lands, I had no inkling that the people of Eorzea contended with such mighty foes. Suffice it to say, their existence came as something of a shock, as did the idea that they could be defeated. This experience has served to remind me of the vastness of the world, and the boundless potential of man. Though I am but a refugee in this realm, I would fain be of use to you in your fight. Know that I am tutored in one of the foremost combat arts of the Far East. It may seem outlandish to the Eorzean eye, but should any of your people care to learn, I would be pleased to initiate them.
And I will see to it that they are grateful. I have no doubt that your knowledge and skills will serve us well. Besides, your art is not so outlandish as you think. Would you not agree, Master Thancred?
Naught escapes your searching eye, Admiral. Few are privy to this information, but Limsa Lominsa is home to a certain secret fraternity. Its members are trained in a form of combat not unlike your own. By my judgment, it should not be beyond such individuals to adapt to the techniques I witnessed you employing with such admirable deftness.
I am heartened to hear this. I too noted a kinship between your style and mine own, though it seemed to me that you fought differently in the beginning.
I suppose I did. What can I say? I'm a man of many talents.
Though you may labour to believe it, Thancred was once something of a scoundrel who fraternized with the criminal class in these parts.
Yestola! You jest, of course.
But for a chance encounter with Alphinaud's grandsire, he might never have left Limsa Lominsa, or received an education in Sharlayan, or taken up his post in Ul'dahns, which is where he trained in the blade, lest you wonder.
Minfilia, please!
It would seem there is more to you than meets the eye, Master Thancred.
Lady Yugiri, I am told that you and yours came to Eorzea seeking permanent resettlement, and that many domins have since been engaged as frontier hands at Revenant's Toll. Moderna is many things, but a place of refuge it is not. Know that I would like nothing better than to furnish your people with a new home here on Lominsan soil. Alas, racked by instability as we are, our nation is in no fit state to take you in. Yet I'll not have it said that we turned a blind eye to your suffering. Until such time as we can do more, I pledge to send provisions.
We are in your debt, Admiral. I realize that it scarce qualifies as repayment, but if it please you, I shall set about sharing my martial knowledge with your people at once.
You wished a word in private.
The better not to spoil the festive mood. History repeats itself, Admiral. As the kobolds did before them, the Sahagin resorted to summoning their god over a territorial feud. They acted in self-preservation. It may be that the Sahagin initiated this particular clash, but how it begins does not interest me so much as how it ends.
I have not forgotten our conversation, Y'shtola. I am aware that man bears part of the blame for the Primal's existence. Nor am I ignorant of the Sahagin's reason for acting. They sought to secure a place to breed and multiply that their kind might survive. Self-preservation, as you say. But we have as much right to live and thrive as they. If our own survival is threatened, are we to lay down our arms and welcome oblivion? Nay.
And so you kill, that you might live. Yet if living is a right, then that right belongs to all peoples, be they men or beastmen.
I'll not deny your reasoning, but when a storm gathers, it falls to me to see my people safely through it. That is my duty, and I shall do it.
As must we all, Admiral. Stay the course then, but know that it will lead to no good end.
Man has ever put himself first and foremost. To justify his actions, he clads himself in the armor of righteousness, though it be a fancy of his own making. In this, mayhap the Garleans and we Domans are not so different.
Eorzea has become as a raging sea. If we are to keep our heads above the waves, we cannot scruple to drown the man next to us. When hopes of coexistence founder, strength must determine who has the greater right to live.
Well, that's something. When Ygiri met the fraternity, Xanthael has orders to point you in the direction of the Lominsan underworld. I think I've already met them. The Admiral has informed me of the arrangement. I have in my keeping a letter of introduction for Lady Ygiri. To the south stands a gate leading to a pier for smaller fishing vessels. Look for an inconspicuous hired man there, and present the letter to him. He serves as a gatekeeper of sorts. Now, before you go, I'm obliged to remind you that the members of the fraternity to which you would be introduced abide in the shadows of Lominsan society. They value their independence more highly than pirates, and are united by a bond stronger than mithril. To wit, they are invariably wary of new faces. Though it be penned by the Admiral himself, mere words on parchment will get you only so far into their confidence. You must work for every ounce of trust they place in you. But here's the letter. Go to the aforementioned place and show it to the aforementioned man. Oh, and good luck. Let me guess. It's the Thieves Guild, right? Better if I just go this way. Inconspicuous, you don't say. Got business with me, Venture? Yeah. Here's a piece of paper. So you're the woman the Admiral sent word of. I was hoping I might catch a glimpse of Thancred too. Been a while since I saw his shite-eaten grin. But what with all these doe-eyed wenches about, I expect he's got his hands full. Ah, and you must be the Far Easterner that Melweb says wants to train with us. Welcome to Limsa, milady. I'm Ygiri of Doma. It is an honor to make your acquaintance. I must confess, when first I learned of your organization, I had certain preconceptions as to the nature of your membership. It would seem I was mistaken. You're not the first person to say that last. Limsa is a city of pirates, to be sure, and pirates don't give two farts about keeping a spotless reputation. They hardly need a secret society to do their dirty work. Might be as my people and I keep to the shadows, but we've got nothing to be ashamed of. It's simply better for business that we remain unseen. And so you have developed a fighting technique suited to this purpose, I see, and know that the practitioners of my art too are denizens of shadow. 'Tis in stealth that our strength lies. There is much we might learn from one another, I think. Then what in the seven hells are we waiting for? If you'd come with us, ya Gary of DeWhatsit, we can get you get acquainted in more private surrounds. That didn't come out right, did it? Lady Amber, I shall remain with these people for a time, that I might study their ways. Though I am loath to be separated from my countrymen, I take solace in the knowledge that they are in the best of hands. You have been a true friend to us Domans. No words would suffice to express my gratitude. Ere long, I hope to begin imparting my martial knowledge to the people of Eorzea. When that time comes, it would be my honor to welcome you as a student. Okay. Through the maelstrom, Yugiri has the air of a woman bursting with gratitude. Much and more has occurred since first I beheld Eorzea from the galleon's deck. Suffice it to say, I did not envisage being invited to play a part in your noble struggle. But forgive me, I have kept you overlong. Doubtless you have pressing business of your own. Rest assured that I no longer require an escort in this land. When next you meet Lady Minfilia, pray relay to her my humblest thanks. Would that I could do so in person, but I must needs fulfill my promise to the Admiral, till we meet again, Warrior of Light. Pray return to the Rising Stones.
I have been reflecting upon the events which took place during our visit to Vilbrand. If you have a moment, I would share my conclusions with you. Please, bear with me. When the Sahagin Elder summoned Leviathan, he employed the power we have come to know as the Echo. Though I cannot well explain the how of it, it would seem he became immortal in so doing. When the Admiral subsequently slew him, his spirit emerged from his lifeless flesh, a consciousness shorn of physical form. Thus transfigured, he took up residence in the body of his minion with the ease of a man donning a favorite glove. Long have I known that the Echo allows one to pass through the walls of a man's soul, but never did I imagine that it could free us from our own flesh, nor less that our souls could then occupy the next corporeal vessel to take our fancy. It was of this that Elidibeth spoke, an existence which knows neither cessation nor oblivion. And yet, though the Sahagin had mastered his gift and thereby become immortal, he was by no means invulnerable. As we both bore witness, he was ultimately absorbed into Leviathan. And the import of this observation? If the Ascians' mode of existence is indeed the same, it can be inferred that they too are not invulnerable, that they can be destroyed. There exists a legend which tells of souls who are reborn upon the cusp of each umbral calamity, that they might stay the encroaching darkness. To most, it is but a fairy tale, yet recent events have given me cause to wonder, could the legend in fact refer to the Echo? Much and more yet remains unknown, but I am confident that all will become clear in time. For the present, however, what matters is that the key to defeating the Ascians may at last be within sight. With Urianger's aid, it is my hope that I shall fathom this matter ere long. I was just about to send for you, my friend. Is Artemis?
Grave tidings from the Sharlayan motherland, my lady. It doth concern our distant allies, the students of Baldesion.
What of them?
My lady, the Isle of Val, which for many years hath been the Order's home, is no more.
No more? Whatever do you mean?
I relate only that which hath been conveyed unto me by our agents. An etheric wave of the highest magnitude was recorded in the region. Soon thereafter, 'twas observed that the isle had ceased to be. 'Tis postulated that a magic was evoked, like in power to Ultima.
12 preserve.
Island go boom.
If there are no other matters, I move that today's meeting be adjourned.
Evil Lalafell.
It is done, my lord. Forgive my impertinence, my lord, but these orders, I am uncertain as to what end they serve.
Revolution.
No, when the Lalafell dreams of revolution, we should all be scared. The Great Divide. Minfilia's thoughts keep returning to the fate of the students of Baldesion. Our friends, the very isle itself, everyone and everything. No, it avails us not to speculate. Urianger will send word if there are any developments. Until such time as he does, we must remain firmly focused on that which is within our power to change. With that in mind, I would speak of a different matter, one closer to home. It concerns etheric fluctuations which we had previously attributed to good King Mogomog XII. That the king is no more is a blessing for which we have you to thank. Yet all is not well in the Twelves Wood. Our latest readings reveal an ongoing etheric disturbance of considerable magnitude. They may even suggest the presence of a primal. Needless to say, the mere possibility warrants immediate investigation, and I would have you. Asilia, I do not wish to interrupt, but we have a problem. What manner of problem? A band of refugees, hailing from Ul'dah this time, are come to Revenant's Toll seeking asylum. It would seem they expect us to afford them the same treatment we gave the Domans. At present, they are in the seventh heaven awaiting a formal response. I see. Mayhap this was to be expected. I shall meet with them at once. Asilia, you know full well we haven't the resources to accommodate many more people. Considering what will happen if you do this, word will spread and more will follow. Your opinion is duly noted, but I will hear their suit. Amber, I should be grateful for your presence at this meeting. This isn't going to end well. I apologize for keeping you waiting. My name is Minfilia, and I lead the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. 12 be praised, it is you. We're ready and willing to work, same as the Domans. Just give us a task and we'll see it done. Pray, calm yourselves. I appreciate your enthusiasms, but I know not of your situation. Beg your pardon, Antecedent. I ain't so good with words. We've been living off the scraps of Ul'dah for years now, trying to piece together a life to replace the one that got took. They say there's work, but there's not for an honest man. Not as wouldn't sully his soul sooner than his palms, any road. The flames do what they can for us, of course, but it ain't near enough. And it's only getting worse. When the calamity brought us to our knees, those rich bastards in the city didn't help us up. They climbed on our back. I don't pretend to be clever, and even I can see what's coming. I knew we had to run, the only question was where, and then it came to me, Revenant's Toll. I mean, you took them foreigners in, didn't you? So you'd surely do the same for us. I fear the situation is rather more complicated. While it is true that we accepted the Doman's petition for aid, that decision was the product of extraordinary circumstances. I sympathize deeply with your plight, but pray understand that it is not possible for an organization of our means to aid all who have been affected by the calamity. And so it is with great regret that I must deny your request. But we've nowhere else to go. You're turning your back on us? If I might have a word. Tataru is aught amiss? Ill tidings from Ul'dah, my lady. Alphinaud has been wounded. What? How? Is it serious? I cannot say for certain, but I fear it might be. According to the flames, the refugees started a riot, then went wild, apparently, lashing out at any and everyone. That can't be right. Why would they? They must have been provoked. The demonstration was meant to be peaceful. 7 hells. Now the Blades have an excuse. They'll round us up and kill anyone who tries to resist. Antecedent, please, if you won't help us build a new life, at least help us keep the ones we've got. Yeah, let me go. My lady. We are not ones to stand idly by and watch innocents suffer. However, until we know more of the circumstances surrounding this riot, I am not certain what aid, if any, we can provide. If the authorities determine that the refugees attacked without provocation, then those responsible will have to answer for their actions. How can you be so blind? Find Alphinaud, and quickly. If he is in danger, or worse, I would have you and none other by his side. Thank you. Pray do not concern yourself with the matter we were discussing earlier. Yida and Papalimo will see to it. Alphinaud is being treated at the Hourglass. Hurry, Amber. That's what happens when the rich treat the poor like snot. You don't look very hurt.
Come, you must have gathered by now that Tataru is given to exaggeration. As you can see, I am quite well. Ul'dah, on the other hand, is not. This riot was anything but an isolated incident. There is a restlessness in the air. Tensions long simmering are at last threatening to boil over. Ul'dah is a nation infamous for the great disparity between the wealthy and the poor. The majority of the populace accepts this state of affairs because they believe that every man bears responsibility for his own lot in life. To an Ul'dahn, money is the foremost, and some would say the only measure of a man's worth. Small wonder that the wealthiest wield the greatest influence. So where do the refugees fit into this social hierarchy? What place is there for those who fled Alamigo and the destruction of the Calamity? Plainly, there is none. They have no wealth, no power, and no worth. To the Ul'dahn way of thinking, they may as well not exist. Choosing to ignore their existence, however, is patently not an option. General Ramuh and the Sultana understand this, which is why they ordered the Immortal Flames to provide the refugees aid and succor. Yet none would dispute that the expenses incurred by this policy grow by the day, with no end in sight. This has prompted more and more Ul'dahns to question their obligation to aid these worthless wanderers, while more and more refugees have come to resent their treatment at the hands of the sneering citizenry. The manner of Lord Lolorito's refusal to grant the Dolmens asylum bespoke a disdain for all refugees, an attitude shared by the rest of the monetarists. And you may be sure they make no effort to conceal their opinions. It was only a matter of time before the refugees united in protest, nor is it any surprise that some among them would ultimately resort to violence. That the Immortal Flames should choose this of all occasions to engage in joint training exercises with the other Grand Companies. By the time they return, the situation may well have deteriorated beyond mending.
Money. Desperate times. Alphinaud wishes to investigate the circumstances surrounding the riot. As I told you before, it was all but the inevitable that an incident of this kind would eventually occur given the rising tensions within the Sultanate. Nevertheless, I have reason to believe that this particular riot may not have begun spontaneously. Have I piqued your curiosity? Good. Then you will accompany me to the Hall of Flames. I would hear what General Ramuh has to say upon the matter. Okay. Yo, dude. Now is not a good time, Lieutenant Virgil. My hands are full dealing with refugees. Precisely the matter we wish to discuss, General. Alphinaud, back on your feet already. You may credit my swift recovery to your Shirugans. My memories of the riot are still somewhat muddled. I trust you managed to regain control of the situation. Not entirely. We secured the city soon enough, but not before the unrest had spread to the surrounding territories. Pockets of resistance remain throughout Thanalan. We have sent what forces we can spare to root out the last of the belligerents, but progress is slow. They are damnably elusive. I can well imagine, given that the majority of refugees live outside the walls, it stands to reason that they would know the lay of the land. What I do not understand is how they came to be so well prepared. Before my little accident, I observed that several of the refugees were armed, and not with butcher's knives or pitchforks, but with martial weaponry. I need hardly add that such equipment is costly. None can deny that tensions between the Ul'dahn citizenry and the refugee population has increased since the Dolmens were turned away. But would that motivate a starving man to purchase arms in lieu of food? I think not. And what of those who have not even a single gil to spend, who could not survive without the aid provided by the Immortal Flames? Surely they would sooner sell a weapon than bring it to bear against their benefactors. Come to the point. Very well. My point, General, is that the powder keg of discontent was not set alight by chance. These events were deliberately set in motion. And now order must be restored. That is my first duty. Until it is done, any investigation can wait. I do not have time to discuss this. My scouts will be returning anon. Yeah, you maintain order, but if you don't figure out the cause, it's going to happen again. The general is no fool. He keeps his own counsel, and with good cause. Were he to claim, without the necessary proof, that these riots were instigated by outside forces, the monitors would accuse him of attempting to shirk responsibility. After all, he and the Sultana have been the most outspoken proponents of refugee aid. Regardless, they will face harsh criticism in the days ahead. Our allies stumble upon the truth in time, but I have far more faith in your abilities, Amber. Therefore, I propose we conduct our own investigation, independent of the authorities. To that end, I would have you make inquiries in the settlement suspected of harboring belligerents. Commander Swift will know which they are. He may balk at a request for such information, but I have no doubt that you can persuade him with your silver tongue. I, meanwhile, shall seek answers in my own way, after which we can regroup and share our findings. Well then, shall we? Okay. You look as though you have something to say, Lieutenant, do you? What you ask is no simple favor. Were such information to fall into the wrong hands, the lives of countless soldiers would be at risk. Even so, there is wisdom in your words. An able individual, even one with ties to the flames, may be better suited to this task than a regiment. Very well, the Brass Blades have reported suspicious activity in the vicinity of Lost Hope. It may be unrelated to recent events, but we doubt it. I suggest you begin by speaking to the Blades posted there. Okie dokie. And what brings you here, adventurer? A search for refugees? Well, then you've come to the right place. Oh, you mean those refugees. Oh no, you won't find them here. Most of the people of Lost Hope have come to accept their situation or are content to pass their days in peace and quiet. Outsiders have trouble understanding that, like that merchant who passed through recently. Gregarious fellow, but awfully opinionated. Can't say I was sad to see him go. A friend of the Sultanate, are we? I take it this means someone has read my report. The refugees who left with the merchant have yet to return, and I am increasingly concerned that Zazawaka's suspicions were correct. You haven't the foggiest idea what I'm talking about, do you? Never mind, speak with Zazawaka, he'll explain everything. What kind of a name is Zazawaka? Hi, sure thing. Ah, don't hurt me, I'm not one of them. I beg your pardon? You're of the Flames, but you're not with the Flames? I see. If Leofric bid you speak with me, then I take it you've agreed to help. 'Twill be praised for that, because we haven't a moment to waste. Everyone knows the Flames are on the march. The others have fallen under that fanatic's spells, but not I. Promises of revolution and retribution, of holding the ruling class to account, and taking that which is owed. Ha! Childish fantasy. I did everything I could to dissuade the others from leaving, but few would heed my words. Now that one of our idealists has returned, however, the madness of the merchant's plan is plain for all to see. Look behind yonder tent, and you will understand why. Even now he babbles incoherently, so traumatized is he by the bloodshed he witnessed. Try as I might, I can make little sense of his words beyond the fact that he was not alone in surviving. Yet I've no doubt that the merchant will lead the remainder to their doom. I beg of you, find them before he does. What are you doing? Don't draw. Don't draw, don't draw, don't draw, don't draw. Why didn't you run away with me? We could have escaped together. Then you'd be here with me. Be here to soothe me. Why? Why did you have to stay and leave me alone? /soothe. Who are you? What do you want? Aye, it's true. I followed the merchant, and may the gods strike me down for my folly. What they do not give, you must take, he said. When we asked how, he revealed a cache of weapons he had brought and implored us to seize control of our fates. I thought about running then and there, but the others were so excited. He split us into 2 groups, sent us off on our own. But when the flames found us, we didn't know what to do. Our leader tried to parley with theirs, but then they started arguing and then fighting. And then everyone was fighting, and the flames were shouting to give no quarter, and... Oh gods, the other group. They're still out there. If we don't stop them, they'll be massacred like mine was. Give me money. Shock and awe. The terrified refugee would have you find his brethren and convince them to lay down their arms. The other refugees are hiding in the cave south of Lost Hope, but to approach them would be fruitless. They would sooner call us agents of the Sultanate and try to kill us than listen to reason. Why, the twins might even deign to do the deed themselves. A pox on all bloody sellswords. They were supposed to train us to fight, but the ones he sent with us vanished during the struggle. Oh, if only we had never listened to that merchant's ridiculous claims. He said our cause was righteous, that the gods would never suffer us to be defeated. Though, if they were forced to confront reality, that is. Challenge the twins to combat and show my brethren that their strongest warriors are no match for one woman. Mayhap then they will agree to lay down their arms and renounce this plot. Seven hells, they found us. Everyone grab your gear and make for the rendezvous point. So, what's your game? Is it? Ah, sorry to disappoint you, lass, but we're more than willing to kill you ourselves. Next. Is that all? You beat him like it was nothing. Thal almighty, what are we gonna do now? You've returned. Did you find my brethren? What are the twins? What happened? I see. Well, you had no choice. Better that a handful of them take a beating from you than the lot get butchered by the flames. Tell me, what did the merchant have to say when it was over? He wasn't there. Huh? But where else would he be? Unless he went to Stone's Throw to recruit others. Reap the whirlwind. The terrified refugee would have you find the shady figure who is trying to stir dissent among his brethren. The merchant wished to approach the refugees in Stone's Throw, but was waiting until the flames withdrew their forces from the vicinity. Now that they have, there's nothing to stop him from continuing his work. How many more must perish in pursuit of this futile cause? How much more suffering must we endure before it ends? Find him, convince him to cease his mad quest. It will surely lead us to ruin. Yeah, something tells me he doesn't actually care about you guys. Better way to get rid of a problem than to eliminate the problem. What's the matter, little one? Sniffle, have you seen my parents? No, I just got here. They told me to stay here while the others... They said they'd be back soon, but it's been days. They left with the man from Ul'dahns. The man said they were going to change everything, make it so we could live inside the walls with everyone else. I liked it when he said that. I didn't like it when he talked about making the rich people pay. Everyone looked so angry and I got scared. Say, miss, are you looking for someone? Yeah, that stupid merchant. You mean the man who left with my parents? But I don't know where he... Wait, look, over there. I think that's him. Well now, which of these gullible fools shall be my next victim? You! I... Get your butt over here. I'm gonna smack you with my stick. He's getting away! Go get him, miss! I'm gonna smack you with my stick. Hey, brat. You again? Why are you pursuing me? 'Cause you're a jerk. Sedition? Treason? Revolution? That's preposterous. Who has filled your head with these lies? Refugees? The selfsame refugees who terrorize the streets of Ul'dahns? Ha! You have no evidence to prove your accusations? None. No, I will not accompany you to the Hall of Flames. You have no right to detain me. Want to bet? For the sake of argument, let us say I did do the things you claim. Surely you don't think I give a current's ass about politics. It was business, only business. Guess what? We both know I am not the one you want. However, if you agree to protect me, I swear I shall tell you everything. That sounds better. But you're dead now. It's a good thing I'm not an archer. What's all this commotion? 7 hells. Tell the others to spread out and search the area. The killer may still be close. Hold, adventurer. I would know about your relationship with the victim as well as the events leading up to his death. Well, you see, he's a jerk. This man was responsible for the recent riots? Mayhap we owe his murder a debt of gratitude. I wouldn't say that. In any case, it is obvious you are not the one whom we seek. You may carry on with your investigation, Scion. How quickly the dude's body is gone, though. I think the Lalafell ate it. Pretty sure the Lalafell ate it. What news, Lieutenant? Where's the merchant? He got killed. Murdered? Damn it all to the seventh hell. He was not simply murdered, Lieutenant. He was silenced. Too many knew his face, and he was ready to divulge his secrets. Do not despair, though. We may be closer to identifying the true orchestrator of these riots than you realize. Cool. Give me money. A revolution. Swift has a message for you from General Robon. The Flame General left word that you were to proceed to the Fragrant Chamber as soon as you returned. He wishes to discuss your recent discoveries as well as the results of our own investigation. Master Alphinaud has already been informed and should be waiting for you outside. Pray proceed to the Royal Promenade with all haste and speak with Bartholomew. I really don't want to speak with anyone called Bartholomew, but okay. We have been expecting you, madame. Please proceed inside. Money.
Commander Swift has kept us apprised of your recent activities. You've made great strides towards quelling the violence.
Despite our best efforts to determine what provoked this uprising, the truth continues to elude us. Have you uncovered aught which might shed some light on the mystery?
This information does not leave this room. The Syndicate's decision to reject the Doman refugees' appeal for asylum had lasting repercussions. A number of those displaced by the calamity claimed it was proof of a policy of discrimination. Together with a group of Alamegan refugees, they organized a series of demonstrations to protest against the Sultanate. Demonstrations which became heated, but did not descend into violence. Until a certain incident served as a call to arms.
A unit of brass blades sent to supervise a demonstration loosed arrows upon unarmed protesters. It was this atrocity which prompted the refugees to take up arms. I need not tell you what followed.
We assumed at first that the attack was born of a miscommunication. When emotions run high, they happen. But suspicions were raised regarding the unit's commanding officer, whom I ordered interrogated. Sure enough, our fears were soon confirmed. The dog confessed that a merchant had offered him coin to give the order. A merchant in the employ of Teleji Adeleji.
Teleji Adeleji? But he spoke in favor of the Doman's cause, and has ever seemed sympathetic towards the refugees' plight. Why would he do such a thing?
Money.
Know you of the Cartoneau Reclamation Bill? It is a proposal to annex the Haurchefant Flats so that refugees may establish permanent settlements.
When last I looked, that was disputed territory.
Aye. Some might even call it a battlefield. The destruction wrought by Bahamut was greatest at the Haurchefant Flats. That much is common knowledge. What is less well known is that his rampage laid bare ancient Ul'dahn ruins, of which no record existed. There are certain differences of opinion as to how these ruins should be handled, which is why each nation maintains a military presence in the region to this day. Yet differ though we may, we are still allies. Therefore, in the interest of preserving the Eorzean alliance, we have reached an agreement. Any conflict which may arise during the course of military exercises in the region shall have no bearing on relations between our nations. In full knowledge of this delicate state of affairs, Taleji Adeleji proposed the Haurchefant Reclamation Bill. A shameless bloody ruse which stands to benefit him in but one conceivable way. If successful, he will gain control over the disputed territory under the guise of assisting in the resettlement effort. And you can be sure he'll build an orphanage next to every Ul'dahn ruin.
The man would threaten the unity of the Eorzean alliance and risk countless lives for personal gain.
He walks a path all his own, independent of any faction and beholden to none of his fellows on the Syndicate.
By inciting the less fortunate to violence, he hopes to convince others that the Haurchefant Reclamation Bill is the only viable solution. His sympathy for the plight of the Domans was not but posturing to gain credibility with the refugees. Of that there can be no doubt.
Forgive me, but what could possibly motivate Taleji Adeleji to go to such lengths? What is so special about these ruins that he would risk his position on the Syndicate, and, most likely, charges of treason against the Sultanate?
Omega.
Pardon?
An Ul'dahn monstrosity, not unlike the Ultima weapon. Mayhap larger, we know not. It has yet to be fully excavated. Ul'dahn inscriptions indicate that it was created to fell Bahamut himself. If accurate, it might explain why Nail Van Darnus chose to bring the Red Moon down upon the Haurchefant Flats. Given the ends he went to ensure Eorzea's annihilation, destroying the one weapon which could stay the Elder Primal may well have seemed like good sense.
When first I bore witness to the power of the Ultima weapon, I doubted the evidence of my senses. And now you tell me there is another such weapon, one which could contend with Bahamut. Bahamut!
Aye, we were skeptical ourselves. Truth be told, until the Ultima weapon's existence came to light, we thought the inscription had been mistranslated.
At present, Omega is more akin to a fossil than a tool of war, having long since ceased to function. As such, its true potential cannot accurately be gauged. However, if someone were to restore it, as the Garleans did the Ultima weapon, I have little doubt that he would wield untold power.
Power enough to subjugate Ul'dahn like as not, and the rest of Eorzea besides, which is doubtless why Taleji Adeleji yearns to have it.
That he should aspire to world domination. He who has ever walked 2 paces behind Lord Lolorito in matters of commerce.
'Tis in acknowledgement of his own limitations that he seeks this power. Woe betide us all should we allow him to have it.
Pray waste no time chasing rats. Only a fool would believe that secrets can be kept in Ul'dah.
It would seem the implications of the Sultanate's refugee problem are rather more far-reaching than we assumed.
Well, that's one way to do it. Stories we tell. Recent revelations weigh heavily on Alphinaud's mind. I should be glad to know the truth, and yet the thought that all this chaos was the product of one man's lust for power sickens me. How long do you think they intended to hide the existence of Omega from the Scions? That they even felt the need to do so is most troubling. It would be in our best interest to learn more of the military activities in the disputed territories. You are, of course, the Scion best suited to this task, Lieutenant. Do take a moment to visit the Hall of Flames and make inquiries at the earliest available opportunity. Begone, whelp, this is no place for children. I'm sorry. I was looking for you, miss. You said you were looking for the man who left with my parents. You know this girl? Yeah. So, he visited Stone's Throw as well. I see. Did you find the man? Were my parents with him? They were not, I'm afraid. However, I can think of several places they might be. If you like, we can go look for them together. Really? You'll help me look, mister? Y'all. Of course, but first I must needs finish speaking with my friend. She's telling me a secret, you see, so no one else is allowed to listen. Mayhap you could wait for me by that pillar over there. We require but a moment. Okay, mister, I'll be waiting. I'll take you to the quicksand. Mayhap Momodi will know what to do. A legion of Garleans, an ether-starved primal. Even dealing with an Ascian would be preferable to this charade. Sometimes I fear Minfilia is too ambitious. We rush hither and yon to response to threats as they arise, without concern for the strain it places on our limited resources, and ourselves. Mayhap the time has come for a change. Amber, this is Minfilia. I know this is sudden, but I must ask you to return to Revenant's Toll with all due haste. The situation in the Twelveswood has taken a turn for the worst. I'll explain everything in detail once you arrive. The Twelveswood? Then the primal threat she spoke of before has been confirmed? I have received no reports of Ixali activity, which leaves the Sylphs. Go, Amber. You know as well as I that the appearance of a primal takes precedence over all else. Oh, and when you arrive, do inform the antecedent that while I am grateful for her concern, she needn't fear for my safety. I am more than capable of protecting myself. Okay. With those shoes, are you sure? It is a relief to see you healthy and hale, Amber. The latest news from Ul'dah was most disturbing. Yeah, we know what happened. Clearly, the only injury Alphinaud suffered was to his ego. Doubtless it will heal ere long. The other scions will need to be present for this meeting. If you are ready to begin, I will summon them now. Yeah, give me money. Lord of Leven. Minfilia wishes to discuss the latest threat to rise in the Black Shroud. Thank you for responding to my call with such haste. Rest assured, I should not have summoned you were it not urgent. To business, then. I have received some most disturbing news from the Order of the Twin Adder. They have reason to believe that the Sylphs may have called forth their revered guardian, the primal Ramuh. I'm sorry, may have? Then it is not certain. The Elder Seats here informs us that the elementals themselves murmur of the Lord of Leven's return to the forest. The Sylphlands, however, display no signs of undue commotion. Forgive me, antecedent, but the fact need not contradict the elemental's testimony. Unlike his more bellicose compeers, Garuda and so on, Ramuh is reputed to act only in the defense of his children. I imagine he would soon make his presence known if any were foolish enough to directly endanger the Sylphs or their territory. The abruptness of this development concerns me. Were we not keeping a close watch on the touched ones and their movements? If preparations for a summoning ritual were indeed underway, 'twould surely not have escaped your notice. Oh, it didn't. I was pretty sure it was going to happen, just not this soon. I beg your pardon? You foresaw this eventuality and did not to prevent it? I told Papalimo I suppose I could have reported things to Minfilia earlier, but there honestly wasn't much we could do except wait and see. You know how the Sylphs feel about people poking around in their territory. They already summoned Ramuh once, right after the calamity, but that was because the Garleans came tramping through the forest. And so long as Castrum Orien stands, the Sylphs cannot be blamed for wishing to have their guardian deity on hand. In short, Ian and I are in agreement. The actions of the forest folk were inevitable and unavoidable. And I maintain that observation would have remained the best policy had it not been for the sudden influx of strangers into the Black Shroud. That, alas, we did not foresee. By all accounts, the recent violence in Ul'dah drove a number of refugees to seek safety under the concealing canopy of the trees. 'Twas like that the Sylphs perceived this panicked migration as yet another invasion and quickened their efforts to summon their god. I am put in mind of Titan and the kobolds. Once again, it is the affairs of men which have paved the way for a primal's coming. Indeed, one cannot help but wonder what manner of place Eorzea would be without the civilizing influence of mankind. Be that as it may, this regrettable development does afford us a unique opportunity. Amber, through your dealings with the Sylphs of Little Solace, you once succeeded in preventing an untimely conflict with Gridania. I wonder, might one who has treated with the Sylphs so fruitfully in the past not achieve similar success with their patron deity? If Ramuh can be convinced of our intentions, it may be the first step to breaking the cycle of primal summoning. A fond hope, were such a thing possible, we would not have been at war with the beastmen since time immemorial. But maybe this time we can. Let us continue this discussion anon. We must needs first consult with the nation most affected by Ramuh's presence. The Elder Seats here has requested your personal involvement, Amber. Pray report to Commander Hioas at the Adder's Nest as soon as you are able. Okay. First, I just want to take a vacation, though. Steel yourself for the worst, while I hope for a peaceful resolution to this matter. Experience suggests that your meeting with the Lord of Leven will prove less than amicable. In such an event, your fellow scions will, of course, lend you whatever support you require. Hey Amber, go beat up another god. Okay. Amber of the Scions, your arrival has been most anticipated. The appearance of a primal is ever cause for alarm and unease. Though my men stand ready for any eventuality, I know of none more qualified than you to snuff out this threat. Indeed, I would have you do so without delay. The Elder Seats here, however, would speak with you first. She is of the opinion that your diplomatic, rather than martial, skills may better serve our cause. I will leave further explanation to our learned leader. Pray, make your way to Nofika's altar. The conjurer in attendance will admit you to the Lotus Stand. Okay. The other Scions have already arrived, madame. May I show you in? Okay.
Scions of the Seventh Dawn, on behalf of the people of Gridania, I bid you welcome. Your presence is of great comfort to us all in these days of uncertainty. I summoned you here to share tidings of a most urgent nature. But a short while ago, the great elemental spoke, and his voice was clarion in its intensity. Ramuh is returned unto the forest. Scarce had his words ceased to echo in mine ears when we were visited by an emissary from Little Solace. Our guest informs us that the Sylphs too have sensed the presence of the Lord of Levin. Though his exact whereabouts remain unknown, we may safely assume that the primal was summoned within the heart of the Sylphlands. Unlike the other primals you have encountered, Lord Ramuh is no raging avatar of destruction. He is revered as much for his wisdom as his strength, serving as both arbiter and guardian to his children. Given that we and the Sylphs found a way to share the Twelveswood, it is my hope that this sagely immortal will be amenable to reason, and that conflict may be avoided. Blessed as you are with the power of the Echo, you are one of the few among us who may commune with a primal without fear of influence. I would ask, therefore, that you represent us in this most delicate of negotiations. The Twelveswood has suffered enough. Upon this, we and the Sylphs, and I would venture Lord Ramuh himself, are in perfect accord. Let us not endanger our shared home by engaging in unnecessary hostilities. Dear friend, I beseech you, safeguard the peace which exists between our peoples. You have my thanks. Pray make for Little Solace, then. A member of the Order of the Twin Adder awaits you there. He will advise you on how to find the Lord of Levin. An ill wind blows through the forest. Yet, it is not only the Twelveswood that flinches at its coming. All the lands of Eorzea shiver in dread anticipation. Have care.
Welcome to my world. Shit happens, deal with it. And then give me Gil. Amber of the Scions, I was told to expect you. I understand you go to treat with the primal Ramuh himself. An unenviable task, but one for which I have no doubt you are well suited. I have been told that your fellow Scions are conducting an investigation of the area as we speak, that we might ascertain the location where the Lord of Leviathan might be found. I would ask that you abide here until they return with their findings. Cool, give me money. Leviathan unimpression. The Serpent Lieutenant looks about, seemingly awaiting a visitor. I was told that a messenger would be sent as soon as your fellow Scions finish their investigation. I do not imagine it will be much longer. Nope, speak of the cabbage. This one returns, and returns with good tidings. Wise ones have finished searching and have wisely identified the precise location where the Touch One summoned Lord Ramuh. Your timing is impeccable, my fluttery friend. Might you be so kind as to escort this good woman to her fellow Scions? It would be this one's pleasure, Walking One. Please, please come with this one. Must give chase after my salad. Come back, salad. Promise I won't make you into cabbage rolls. No one actually likes those things. Wise ones have ventured deep, deep within the Sylph lands. These ones must proceed carefully and keep an eye out for touched ones. This one is most sorry, but this one can go no further. Draw too close to Lord Ramuh, and this one may turn mean and nasty like touched ones. And so this one must say farewell for now. Walking One will find wise ones not far from here, to the south. Go in safety, Walking One. Bye, cabbage. So, it's actually you. I'm relieved. For a moment I thought we were dealing with another one of those confounded Sylph tricksters. I swear, with them wreaking havoc with their skin-changing magics, it's a wonder I was able to finish taking my measurements. Yes, it was quite the ordeal. You should have seen the look on Y'shtola's face when the one impersonating you suddenly showed up. That's quite enough, Papalymo. My apologies. It's not like me to ramble so. At any rate, as I was saying, I have finished measuring etheric activity in the area and am pleased to say that I have reached an indisputable conclusion, to wit, that Ramuh was called forth in the vicinity of the Sylphs' aetheryte. Come, Amber, the Lord of Leviathan awaits.
Thine order betrays thee, servant of hiding. Thou art the bringer of light, bane of Ifrit, Titan, Garuda, and Leviathan. I am Ramuh, guardian of the children of the forest.
I have a most epic beard.
Thou tramplest upon sacred soil, bringer of light. By what right doth man intrude in this sanctuary of the Sylphs?
Oh, we want to make sure you won't kick the shit out of anyone.
The Gridanians proffer peace? Their words are born of delusion, thine offer an insult. Thou speakest of harmony, yet carest naught for my children's desires. They did but wish to dwell beneath these boughs in solitude. Yet even that was too much to ask of man. Thus did they turn to me for succor. The sentence I pronounce upon thy kind is just. Redanian or Garlean, it matters not. The good intent of one excuseth not the misdeeds of the other. Thy conflicts have brought naught but anguish and misery unto the forest. All blame doth lie with the darkness that resideth in the breast of man. Whence sprung this calamitous seed? In the beginning no such duality existed. Were light and dark given form when man was born? It would explain much. Not least why strife and sorrow follow ever in thy wake. Thou canst not deny the urgings of thine own nature. Knowing that thy mere presence here portendeth tragedy, wilt thou persist in this pretense of peacemaking? Thou bearest the crystal which I bestowed upon my wayward charges. That they should entrust so precious a gift to thee. Thou standest apart from thy kin. Thou art the bringer of light, aye. But there is something more in thee. Very well. I shall consider thy proposal. Shouldst thou survive my trial. If thou wouldst champion the cause of harmony, I must have proof that thou art fit to play the role. Wither mine ire, and prove to me thereby that thou hast strength enough to stay the darkness which threateneth to consume thee. Yet if thou shouldst be found wanting, know that all men shall perish in the storm of my judgment.
No pressure. Beat me or your kind all dies. Okay.
Come to me, bringer of light. I shall await thee on the field of battle.
Urianger, it is rare indeed to find you so far from a tome.
The Lord of Levin himself. Never till this day had I looked upon his visage, save in painted renderings made faint by time. Ever shall this scene remain etched in my mind's eye. Beg pardon, my lady. I must beg thine aid on a point of research. If thou art resolved to face Lord Ramuh, I would ask thy leave to observe the event.
Yeah, watch me kick his butt, sure. Okay, and for anyone on the recording that's wondering why I'm in a completely different place, it's because I got bored of waiting. Okay, mechanics for this tank is stay away from the main tank because Ramuh is going to keep doing shock strike on them, which will hurt you quite a bit if you are not a tank. There's going to be this thunder spark, just move away from him. Thunderstorm, it targets random players. You'll see that there's these little circles of lightning around your feet. Just don't overlap them too much unless somebody later on has gotten a chaotic strike on them, which you'll notice that they're going to get a chaotic strike on them because they have a target above their head briefly. And if you hover over them like that, it removes their terror and they can once again move. If both of your tanks are squishy, then have whichever one's the main one. They can touch these little lightning balls and that will grant them surge protection. Do not grab any more than 3. And then you pretty much will do this until his ads come out. You need to kill all of his ads. At the same time, he's going to be doing the rest of these moves still. After a time, he will cast Judgment Bolt. These things have to be dead by then. Or ouch. Judgment Bolt will kill your party if any arbiters are still alive. Elsewise, just a couple of AoE heals will bring your party back up to full. After that, he's going to add another thing to his repertoire, which is Rolling Thunder. It puts a tether between 2 of the players, and one of those players must pop 3 orbs to break the tether. Otherwise, it will deal quite a bit of damage in not too long of a time and make out. Other than that, it's rinse and repeat of those tactics, and you're good to go.
I have taken thy measure, bringer of light. And I judge thee a worthy champion. The task of excising the sin that hath taken root in man's heart is thine. Shrink not from employing thy strength in service to the forest and the wider realm beyond. Like hungering shadows do the enemies of harmony gather, and meekness will but feed them. If man is to be delivered from the dark, it shall be by thy guiding light alone. Stray not from the path, for if thou dost, thy people shall be truly lost.
Thou hast slain the Lord of Levin. A regrettable act, but a necessary one. In witnessing thy struggle, a truth hath been revealed unto me. If I mistake not, it may yet prove a chink in the eternal armor of the Ascians. But let us conclude our present business. I shall expound upon my findings at the Rising Stones anon.
As long as it's not the Waking Sands. Yo, guys, I beat up the Lord 11, but next time could you maybe give me, send in a hair cutter first. Amber, you have returned. Dare I ask how Ramuh received your visit? Well, he threatened me, and then I kicked his butt. He challenged you to a test of arms? It is well, then, that you have some experience in such matters. The peoples of both Gridania and Little Solace will be relieved to hear that the Lord of Levin has accepted you as a forest champion of peace. You have performed a monumental duty this day, Amber. The Elder Seeds here must be informed of your deeds at once. What little gods are made of. The Serpent Lieutenant is ready to send you on your way. The Elder Seeds here will wish to hear of your experiences firsthand. Pray return to Gridania and make directly for the Lotus Stand. The Conjurer at Nofika's Well will be expecting you. Fare you well, Amber. Pray return to Gridania. Welcome back, Honored Scion. We who knew of your mission have been most anxious to see you return. The Elder Seeds here awaits you within.
You are returned to us, dear friend, and none the worse for bearing the heavy burden which I did press upon you. Most glad am I of this. I am informed that your efforts to negotiate a peace with Lord Ramuh ended in conflict. Pray tell me, what befell? Ramuh made trial of you? I fear there is truth to his claim. It is the darkness within us that attracts the darkness without. It cannot be denied that misfortune follows man. For evidence, One need only look to the conflict brewing in Carteneau, or to the rising flood of refugees. Our shared struggle against the Empire should have served to seal our union. Yet the ties which bind the Alliance strain under the weight of gross self-interest. As the scars of the calamity begin to fade, so too does our sense of common purpose. Yet now is scarce the time to forget our shared responsibility. If this new-sprung realm is to survive beyond its infancy, it must needs be nurtured by all. Eorzea must be as one, yet I fear that dream is still far off. On behalf of the people of Gridania and the elementals both, I thank you for all that you and your fellow scions have done. Full oft have I been compelled to look to you for aid of late, and offered all too little in return. As leader of this nation, I shall endeavor to prove a more worthy ally to your cause henceforth. Lord Ramuh has departed, yet the keening of this ill wind grows no less insistent. Voices of the forest, pray speak and I shall listen. What unseen evil begets this unease in my heart?
Really want to know the answer to that question, Seats here. Thus ends another daunting mission, eh, Amber? I had hoped Lord Ramuh could be persuaded with words alone, but nonetheless I can only admire the adroitness with which you responded to the Primal's sudden challenge. And it seems that Urianger, too, was pleased with the outcome. What say you, Amber? Shall we gather back at the Rising Stones and ponder the lessons of the day? Pray return to the Rising Stones. Welcome back, Amber. Word of your monumentous encounter with Lord Ramuh precedes you. I would fain share news of mine own, but Urianger's discoveries must take precedence. Upon witnessing your defeat to the Lord of Leven, our learned companion was struck with a profound insight regarding the nature of the Ascian's immortality. Let us assemble and discuss his observations together.
If everyone is ready, let us begin. Urianger, the floor is yours.
Why is he a dragoon?
As all here assembled now know, in its final hours as our Order's headquarters, the waking sands did play host to a most unexpected visitor. I speak of the Ascian clad in white, Elidibus. Unwelcome though his presence was, his words that day did serve to confirm a truth long suspected, that the Ascians are eternal beings, to whom physical destruction is as a temporary inconvenience.
In the intervening time, Urianger and I have striven to discover a means by which the Ascians might more permanently be slain.
And 'tis my belief that we have found the thread that will allow us to unravel the twisted skein of their existence. In the moments prior to Leviathan's most recent manifestation, the Sahagin elder who summoned him was observed to undergo some manner of ascension. The etheric readings taken by Y'shtola at the time of this transfiguration have proven most enlightening.
The disruption to the flow of ether was sudden and dramatic. So tangible was the agitation, I scarce had need of my goggles.
The significance of Y'shtola's readings might better be understood in the context of mine own, taken at the instant of the Lord of Levin's demise. Unlike the Primal, the Sahagin was not subject to etheric dissipation.
Before discussing our new discoveries, it may benefit us all to recall what we know of etheric behavior. Let us begin at what some might call the end. When we who dwell in the material realm die, our spirits dissolve into the flow of ether and are returned to the ethereal realm. In turn, the restless energy which suffuses that plane streams back into our world, giving rise to new life.
"'Tis as the heavens did decree, the way of all mortal souls. Twixt this world and the next do the ethereal currents swirl, bearing the very essence of life. Thus doth the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth continue unabated."
Primals behave somewhat differently. In order to manifest and then maintain a physical presence in this realm, they must consume vast quantities of ether, most often in the form of crystals. Though they may seem to live, their flesh is but ether given shape. Thus, a defeated primal leaves behind no broken corpse. Rather, the essence of its form seeps back into the land whence it came, and the energy of its shattered spirit is called back to the ethereal realm.
And there it waiteth, till next the prayers of the faithful do draw it forth from the sea of ether, to take their offering of crystals and make for itself a new body.
Which brings us on to the third group, the so-called immortals. They exist in a manner all their own.
Quite. Even as the Sahagin elder fell to the Admiral's musket shot, I witnessed the release of an ethereal cloud, which immediately took possession of a nearby minion.
"A soul that dissipateth not upon the death of the flesh."
The secret of life everlasting, and in the claws of a Sahagin no less. But I wonder, what would happen to one of these obstinate spirits should there be no suitable host for it to claim?
If mortal death entails a return to the ethereal realm, it seems doubtful that the soul of an immortal would venture there.
Nay, it merely withdraweth a distance, unto the shore of the ethereal sea, perchance, but no further.
Yes, it exists in neither this realm nor the next, abiding instead in the space that lies between them. The Ascians took control of Thancred by means of a crystal of darkness, an artifact which, if our theories are correct, serves as a gateway to the place I have just described.
I was hoping people had forgotten about that.
I am sorry, my friend.
For a mercy, the weary road of our research hath brought us unto an answer.
The Sahagin ascended to an immortal state, but he did not possess a crystal of darkness through which to flee this realm. Thus was he consumed by Leviathan. If we could entrap the spirits of defeated Ascians in like manner, and thereby deny them resurrection,
Therein lieth the path to victory. Thou art most perceptive, my lady. Only when we have trapped the bodiless soul within an ethereal prison can we hope to defeat its unnatural constancy. Thus might even an eternal paragon be consigned to oblivion.
These feats are, of course, far easier said than done. At present we lack a viable means to entrap and extinguish an Ascian soul. Yet I believe it to be possible. The pieces of the puzzle lie before us. We have but to put them together.
I will depart at once to convene with the sages of Sharlayan. Together shall we divine the steps by which our goals may be achieved.
I have the utmost faith in you, Archon.
Beg pardon, antecedent, but I would raise one final matter. Even now, a Sharlayan survey party seeketh to ascertain the fate of the students of Baldesion. Their findings shall soon be known to us. Though you harbor feelings of dread, I bid you surrender not to sorrow, but abide instead in hopeful prayer.
I shall, Archon. Thank you.
Oh no, it's Organization 13. The Lord of Leven is returned to the Ether, as was Leviathan before him. Ramuh's acquiescence was most intriguing. Inferno, Vortex, Craig, Whorl, and Leven. All have now been humbled by the bringer of light. The limitless potential of man, Heidelin's servant, grows mightier by the day. Yet she prospers at great cost to her mistress, whose strength is all too finite. 7 times have the masses survived the rejoining, but their souls are grown weak and wane. Yet even as it enervates, the ardor empowers our master. All that remains is to nurture the strength of the gifted to forge the final key. And that is the task which we bend our every effort. Divine seeds were ever wont to quicken in Eorzea's fertile soil. We need only lead men to the field, and by their eager hands shall a new deity arise. That which was shattered shall be made anew, and the one true God shall come again. No. Guardian of Eorzea, Minfilia has some correspondence she wishes to share with you. Oh no, where now? Now the matter of Ramuh has, for the present, been put to rest. There is something I would show you, Amber. Okay. It is a letter of thanks signed by the leaders of the Eorzean Alliance, acknowledging the Scion's tireless service to the realm. It mentions, in particular, the names of all the defeated primals, Ifrit, Titan, Garuda, Good King Mogulmog the 12th, Leviathan, and now Ramuh. Needless to say, there is only one among our number to efface them all. And though these words of gratitude were addressed to our order as a whole, I feel that they were meant for you above all others. I, too, must offer my heartfelt thanks for all you have done. In the course of your duties, you have never once failed to answer my call to arms. You are a true hero, Amber, and Eorzea is that much the safer for your presence. Well, I do have 2 arms, so I can answer your call. Pray, do not misunderstand me. I said safer, not safe. I know only too well that we can ill afford to lower our guard. The Ascians may be relied upon to sow chaos in this realm until such time as they are forced to stop. Why, even without their encouragement, you may be assured that man would foment strife on his own, and that is to say nothing of the beast tribes. Unless we learn to live in harmony, the primals too will return to plague us again and again and again. And yet, despite all of this, your deeds serve to inspire the people, to give them hope for a better tomorrow, and there is no greater gift. That we have the courage to strive for what might otherwise seem an impossible peace, we owe in no small part to the dangers you have faced on our behalf, and the people you have won over to our cause in so doing. Our list of enemies has ever been long, but think of the allies with whom we are now blessed. Of the Sylphs of Little Solace, who wish naught of conflict. Of the Alamegans and the Domans who stand with us, determined to halt the dread march of the Empire. And then there are the many unsung individuals who have gathered here in Revenant's Toll, honest men and women who seek to employ their skills for the good of all. Of course, when speaking of our greatest allies, we must not forget those closest to us, by which I mean our fellow Scions. Thanks to their many and varied talents, our order is uniquely equipped to combat the far-reaching corruption of the Ascians, and combat it we shall. Okay. Your enthusiasm is truly heartwarming, Antecedent. Given our embarrassing wealth of allies, I trust it will not inconvenience you unduly if I absent myself for a time. Alphinaud, I take it the troubles in Ul'dahns no longer require your attention. There are yet some rumblings of discontent, but the air of simmering violence is largely dissipated. 'Tis to report such that I stand before you now. That, and to speak with you concerning the new organization we discussed. Ah, I have a message for you from Ella. You recall the refugee girl? The one whose parents were missing? They were found unharmed. She wishes me to pass on her thanks to you. Why, Alphinaud? Am I to understand that you made the effort to remember the poor girl's name? I look forward to reading all about her in your report. I do hope you left nothing out. Amber, you have been away from Revenant's Toll for some time now, I believe. Might I suggest that you put the affairs of the realm to one side for the moment and take this opportunity to reacquaint yourself with the town? Which reminds me, one of the Doman children recently inquired as to your whereabouts. Yozan was his name. I believe he has some small matter he wishes to share with you. Why not oblige him with a visit? Okay. I babysit Lalafell. How hard can this be? Look, it's Miss Amber. She's back from her adventures. We heard you are off fighting primals, and that they're some of the strongest enemies you could ever face. I wish I could have seen you in battle. No, you don't. Anyway, we all want to be heroes too, so we finally formed our very own Doman Adventurers Guild to protect all the Domans. Oh, do you think you could train us today, Miss Amber? Maybe you could show us how you fought the primals. What's all this commotion then? Mr. Boulder and Mr. Coltonet, did you know that Miss Amber is back? So it would seem. Welcome home, Amber. My companion and I but recently became full members of the Scions, and I believe proper introductions have yet to be made. I am known as Hoary Boulder, and this bookish fellow is Cultinet. Though we remain largely unproven as adventurers, we have taken it upon ourselves to instruct the Doman younglings in the arts of combat. I told you, Mr. Boulder, we are not younglings anymore. We are adventurers. And we were just asking Miss Amber if she could give us some special training. I think we're ready to hunt monsters alongside her, don't you? No. Well, you've certainly been diligent with your drills, but I'm afraid the fiends of Mordana are still ever so slightly too dangerous for you. I have a counter-proposal. What if I were to cross swords with Amber? A demonstration of skill at arms, if you will. Hoary, if I didn't know you better, and I do, I'd say you were merely seeking to test yourself against a legend. Aha, well, mayhaps I am. But what matters the motive when the children stand to learn so much from the lesson. What say you, Amber? Would you consent to spar with me? Yeah, okay, I'll kick your butt. Hurrah! We're to have a tournament. Come on, everyone, we must prepare our gear for an outing. Do try to not disappoint them, Have faith, Cultinet. I shall summon every last ounce of my strength to make of this a worthy contest. The fields to the east of town should prove suitable for our purpose. I very much look forward to our bout. I'm gonna kick your butt. "'Twas good of you to agree to this, Amber. I trust you are ready to begin? Yeah, let's go. Very well, let us not keep the younglings waiting any longer. Hoary? Are you certain you wish to fight her alone? That is Amber you face. What better way to test my mettle? Pray allow me to attempt the first round unaided. After all, 'twas this hero's legend that led me to join the Scions to begin with. Without Amber to inspire my efforts, I would not be half the warrior I am today. Your point is well made, but remember, this is for the children's sake as well as your own. Should it appear the contest will end too swiftly, I shall add my spells to your blade work. Okay. Hello, you haven't begun yet, have you? Yida, who are all these people? When I heard about your sparring match, I told everyone I could find. Thought you could use a crowd to cheer you on. Yes, and there are still more to come. When I mentioned Amber's name, the reaction was quite enthusiastic. Why, my own popularity seems but a sickly shade in comparison. You'd best claim victory, bringer of light. Your burgeoning reputation is at stake. Well, our teacher won't be beaten so easily. He's a master swordsman. You can win, Mr. Boulder. We shall soon see. On your guard. Day and night I've honed my skills. Now comes the time to test them. Such power. The tails barely do you justice. Mr. Boulder won't lose, will he? It's not over yet. It can't be. Aye, the children have the right of it. 'Tis time I join the fray. On your feet, Hoary. Not if I kick your butt first. I must admit defeat. 'Twas an honor and a privilege. Oh no, he looks hurt. Miss Amber is so strong. But you can't give up, Mr. Boulder. Can't disappoint the younglings. Rawr. Never I fess such strength. 'Tis your example I follow, surrender not to the implacable foe. That was really disgustingly easy. You have bested me. I yield. That was incredible. She beat them both at the same time. We knew you couldn't lose, Amber. None can defeat the Guardian of Eorzea. Oh god, don't tell me. Don't call me that. Now I see why they send you to deal with all primals. I have much work to do if I'm ever to attempt the same. Impressive as always, Amber. 'Tis ever a pleasure to witness a spectacle of your martial prowess. And judging by the smiles on these many faces, they too appreciate the hard-won strength that keeps the perils of the realm at bay. Guardian of Eorzea? Yes, that is a most fitting title. Do you recall when first we met? 'Twas the memorial service for the Battle of Cartneau. At the time, I was yet attempting to understand this land of Eorzea. I sought to grasp the reason why grandfather willingly sacrificed himself to protect it. I shall speak plainly, my initial impressions were less than favorable. Dire problems abounded, and yet the effort I saw expended towards their solution was haphazard and half-hearted. I thought Eorzeans a foolish and childish people. Considering the shambles their home was in, I would not have been surprised if some had chosen to swear allegiance to Gaius and the order he proposed to enforce. The legatus' single-minded military invasion precluded any such switching of loyalties, of course. Were it not for a desire to continue grandfather's legacy, I would have abandoned the realm to its fate long ago. The threats were too many, the nations too self-involved and unstable. "'Twas you who convinced me the salvation of Eorzea was possible. 'Twas you who taught me, through countless acts of bravery, that what my grandsire sought to preserve was not the land, nor its history, nor any single nation. It was the people, these wonderful, often infuriating, stubborn people, that suffer blow after terrible blow, only to drag themselves back to their feet to face another day. Though he never put such feelings into words, I believe grandfather's admiration for this inextinguishable courage grew into a fervent wish, a wish to aid Eorzea and its inhabitants in charting a course for the future. A wish that has now become my own. I, too, will endeavor to take up the mantle of Guardian of Eorzea and champion these people who toil toward a better world. Our cause, however, is not a simple one. The troubles that plague us are of the scale that cannot be solved by the scions of the Seventh Dawn alone. No, what is needed to tackle the root of the primal threat and effectively counter the schemes of the Ascians is a new, expanded organization that operates beyond the limitations of nations and borders. If you would aid me in building such an organization, then pray let us continue the discussion back within the walls of the Rising Stones. Okay. Thank you for coming, Amber. The world shifts and alters, and we, my friend, must ever be one step ahead of the chaos. What I propose is the formation of a new organization, a group that shall pave the way for a truly united Eorzea. Recruiting the Realm. Alphinaud wishes to request your assistance for his new endeavor. Pray forgive me if I tread over old ground, but I would first speak of the grand plan. Since the advent of the 7th astral era, the leaders of the three nations have been deliberating over an accord that seeks to bring the disparate forces of Eorzea together into a single entity. A realm-wide grand company, if you will. The military might of such an institution would be drawn from every corner of the land and directed against threats that no single nation could hope to overcome alone. Yet, while the purpose of this hypothetical organization is undisputed, the logistics of its formation have become the source of endless debate. And the longer these discussions continue, the more I sense the impetus towards unification draining away. Thus have I been campaigning for the creation of what might be considered a trial company. It will be on a much smaller scale than what we hope to eventually achieve, but capable of the same manner of unrestricted operation accorded to the Scions. 'Tis my hope that the successful utilization of such a force will lend momentum to the lagging deliberations. Also, being a primarily military outfit, I mean to assuage fears of its misuse by placing the fledgling organization under the authority of the antecedent. The Scions work tirelessly to protect Eorzea and its people. But as you yourself have witnessed with the refugee revolt, there are limitations to what even we can achieve. With this new company under the Scion's command, however, we will be capable of responding to a wider range of difficulties without straining our resources or overtaxing your formidable talents. The goals of my proposed organization and those of the Scions are ultimately identical, a point conceded by all concerned. But before I can move forward with establishing this precursor to the true border-spanning grand company, 'tis yet necessary that I visit the three leaders and gain their official approval. A tiresome and time-consuming task, which is why I would ask that you accompany me on the journey and attend to the business of recruiting our inaugural members, while I am otherwise engaged with bureaucratic formalities. Okay. Thank you. 'Tis reassuring indeed to know that the bringer of light and her discerning eye will be selecting our future allies. Our first destination will be Limsa Lominsa. Let us rendezvous at Bulwark Hall. Ah, there you are. I am ready to ascend to the bridge and speak with Admiral Blofishwin. While the Admiral and I are finalizing promissory boundaries and signing parchments, I would have you begin the recruitment process in earnest. I have, of course, endeavored to spread the word of our organization through various channels, but I believe a personal approach will reach many who may otherwise remain ignorant to the opportunity. As for potential members, 'tis of no matter should they already be pledged to another institution, only that they are willing to lend their strength when the situation demands it. And you needn't range into your countryside. The upper decks alone are populated with sufficient candidates to suit our purpose. Once you are satisfied with your recruiting efforts, meet me at the airship ticket counter that we might prepare for the next leg of our journey. An organization with the freedom to operate with territorial impunity? I must say your proposal intrigues me, but the Krakens well know that there is a time to act and a time to watch, and I'm afraid this trial company of yours falls into the latter category. Master Alphinaud's new organization? Yes, I had heard the formation of his trial company was in the offing. 'Tis with regret, however, that I must decline your invitation. As commander of the Yellow Jackets, the protection of Limsa Lominsa must needs receive my full attention. Who in the bloody L's do you think you're talking to, Drylander? I'm a pirate, not some sodden knight in shining plate. If you're looking for a self-righteous fop, try knocking on the dandy Carvalian's door. Rude, but understandable. I'm asking all the wrong people. A precursor to United Eorzean Grand Company? While I do admire the scope of your ambition, my responsibilities here at Nalduk and Vimelis keep me close to the forge. I have not the time to be traipsing hither and yon across the realms. Should you require my skills in armor, however, I might be willing to accept some special commissions. Well, if it ain't Amber, I'd not forget a venturer brave enough or daft enough to seek the shortcut into Titan's bedchamber. You remember O'Real, don't ya? Formerly of the Captain of Heroes? 3 whistles at Bronze Lake? Aye, it ain't often I drag me arse out to Limsa for a drink, but I'm right glad I did. How fare ye these days? You're looking to put together a new crew? Top-tier work? Sounds like a right lark, it does. Alrighty, let's count me in. The arrows may have gone their separate ways, but I ain't ready to climb into me grave just yet. Finally got one. I am too lazy. I'm just gonna teleport back to the Aether. Amber, your recruiting went well, I trust? I am curious as to how my proposal was received by the rough and ready folk of Limsa Lominsa. Ah, a member of the legendary company of heroes indicated his interest? Astonishing. I knew enlisting your aid was the right choice. Few could boast the acquaintance of such an elusive character. I, too, was successful in my task. The Admiral consented to sign all the documents requiring her approval. I can only hope that my visit with the Elder Seedseer proceeds as smoothly. Pray continue on to Gridania at your own pace. I shall await your arrival at Nofika's altar. Well, I'm just gonna teleport there because lazy. My audience with the Elder Seeds here is due to commence momentarily. I would be grateful if you would once more see to the task of recruitment here in Gridania. After you deem the well of potential candidates has run dry, let us rendezvous at the airship ticket counter as before. Yup. Oh gods, can it truly be you? By what fickle fortune must the first face I see upon my release be yours? Eh? Could it be that you don't remember me? It is I, Laurentius, the man whose crimes you exposed. I was a whaler and a regular patron at Buscaron's. Yes, now I remember. Well, of course you do. I was beginning to wonder if Gaul had changed me more than I realized. Not that I have any particular wish to be recognized after my shameful conduct. The less said of my past, the better, I suppose. And what of you, adventurer? What business brings you to this part of Gridania? Recruiting, eh? And what is your policy on reformed convicts? As matters stand, the wood whalers will have naught more to do with me. This may be just the second chance I was looking for. Revenant's toll, you say? I shall leave at once. You shall not regret this. I promise you, I am a changed man. Unless someone comes through with, like, a massively fat coin purse. Grandfather, you must call it a day. Let us return to the guild and rest ere your tormented back gives up on you for good. I'm terribly sorry. We were just... Oh, Amber, isn't it? It has been some time since our paths crossed outside of Copperbell Mines. Why, you were barely more than a novice adventurer then, but look how far you've come. Mother Mione tells me 'twas you who felled the fearsome Black Wolf, and now you seek stout-hearted souls to fill the ranks of a new order? Well, your cause is undoubtedly just, but my old companion here would be much relieved to see me in good hands. Yes, I'll do it. This is the very thing I've spent my entire adventuring career working towards. I shall join your company just as soon as I've seen Isildur safely home. Have fun with your grandpappy. You would offer this old man a place in your company of champions. I am both puzzled and honored by your invitation. Pray forgive me, young mistress, but I cannot accept. I have sworn to abide here for whatever scant years remain to me and bear responsibility for the evils my lady has wrought upon this land. Or you can make amends, but yeah, cool, up to you. Tis not often a guild officer such as myself gets recruited, and this company of yours certainly sounds to have some promise, but its duties appear less than focused. I must refuse your invitation until such time as your organization is more organized. What news, Amber? For my part, the Elder Seetsier was most amenable to our requirements. A former wood whaler and a seasoned adventurer? Our company will not lack for variety, that much is certain. An interesting harvest indeed. Shall we strike into Ul'dah whilst the iron is hot? Let us meet at the Royal Promenade and endeavour to conclude our remaining business. Our journey draws to a close. Ul'dah, the gilded city where one's fortune defines one's worth. I hope some manner of fortune is with us, and that this final leg proves as successful as the previous two. Might I suggest descending to the lower level before beginning your recruitment efforts? I do not think the Sultana will take kindly to us poaching from her personal guard. Let us meet back here at the promenade when our respective tasks are complete. Good hunting, Amber. Wait, you're the lady who came to Little Alamigo looking for that masked devil. Who knows what might have happened if you hadn't? I'd probably be dead. And a whole lot more of my friends besides. We were such fools. Anyway, that disaster really got me to thinking about our homeland and about the outsider who saved us from ourselves. I realized how easily I'd been manipulated, and vowed to make of myself a more worldly man. So here I am. A new company of champions, and you say it will take me to all corners of the realm? That sounds exactly like the kind of opportunity I need. And don't worry, I'm not the same stripling you met in Little Alamigo. I prepared myself to fight the evil I now know is out there. Okay, kiddo. Oh, what a happy coincidence. Do you remember me, perchance? I am Orson, of the Church of Saint Adama Landama. Thank you again for your timely rescue. And I must also thank you preventing that fraudulent priest from preying on dry bones less fortunate. A most upsetting business. Are you here with your companion? Thancred, was it? Ah, 'tis new companions you seek, then. Your proposed organization sounds a powerful force for good, but my place is at the church with the children. Nevertheless, I wish you well in this undertaking. What a nice lady. I'm sorry, you wish to recruit me? Is this some new fashioned manner of propositioning a lady? Well, I'm afraid you are wasting your time. This lady is already spoken for. Good day to you, miss. Sweetheart, I wouldn't want you if you're the last woman on Earth. A company that looks to cure the ills of the entire realm. Listen, friend, I can scarce bear the complaints of the next stall over, let alone the conundrums of a neighboring nation. Aye, you'd be surprised what rumors drift down to Pearl Lane. I know of this glorious new company of yours and just how far I'd go to avoid getting involved with it. Whispers on the street say your organization is funded by corrupt coin, by syndicate money. If you think you're recruiting for a just cause, then you're a bigger fool than I took you for. How fared you, Amber? What hidden gems did the streets of Ul'dah offer up to your unrelenting gaze? A single Alamegan youth? Well, you've certainly given us an admirable start, even if our ranks are yet somewhat thin. In these troubled years following the calamity, talk of Eorzea's salvation must seem akin to grasping at clouds. But there are those who have risen to the challenge nonetheless, and the hope that inspires these people was born in no small part from the victories you yourself have won. Thank you, Amber. I will not squander the precious gift you have placed into my keeping. These recruits will become the foundation of a new beginning. Okay. And yes, we are free to begin. As you have no doubt surmised, the Sultana also graced my trial company with her blessing. Our first wave of recruitment is over, the documents signed, and the finances secure. There is naught to prevent me from taking the next step. You are concerned by the Syndicate's involvement? As was I. Thus was the origin of every coin of their contribution carefully scrutinized and recorded. This organization will not be built on corruption. Naturally, I would prefer not to rely upon outside sources at all, but even my family's substantial coffers could not sustain a venture of this magnitude. And as for the rumors and doubts surrounding this enterprise, well, such things shall plague us until the company has had a chance to prove its worth. It will not be an easy process, and we will earn people's trust one success at a time. Speaking of time, we should waste no more of it. Let us return to the Rising Stones and lay the first stone for a united Eorzea. He needs to take off his rose-tinted glasses.
Tell me, General, what think you of Alphinaud's bold endeavor?
I think it is more than bold, Your Grace. His organization would pave the way for a united Eorzea. Well do I understand his impatience, since facing the common threat of the Ultima weapon, our nations have seemed farther apart, not closer together. Considering the many problems we face, should we not be glad that someone else is taking the initiative?
We have all pledged our cooperation, yet the grumbling continues behind closed doors. Ul'dah is not alone in her duplicity. I myself have doubts as to the good this organization will achieve. With the inclusion of the finest soldiers of the 3 grand companies, it promises to be a fearsome military body. But whom will it serve? Even under the watchful gaze of the Scions, it is not unthinkable that such a force could perpetrate a great wrong. Does it not concern you that a significant proportion of its financial backing came from the coffers of the Syndicate? That those unprincipled worms might forge this extraordinary gathering of warriors into a private army?
I have trust in the Scions, Your Grace. They have spared us no end of trouble at the hands of the Primals. If they seek reinforcements, I deem it unwise to deny them. As for their finances, full many gave generously. And though our nobles proffered a sizable sum, their coin did not spill from the pockets of Lolorito and his cronies. And what of the presence of our stalwart adventurer friend in this endeavor? I doubt the warrior of light would betray our cause.
Yes, there is that, I suppose. Yet I have known people to change. Whether we will or no, the events of the age hurl us this way and that, like a dust devil skipping across the sands. Cannot be done about Telechi?
I have explored all avenues available to us, Your Grace. But as Ul'dahn law now stands, we lack the evidence to convict him of any crime. To arrest him on spurious grounds would only play into his hands.
He has all but committed treason, and yet we can do nothing? Then what good our government? What worth the royal house? How deplorable this mockery of justice!
Have faith, Your Grace. It is not over.
That is not a journey I soon wish to repeat. But I cannot pause to rest. The culmination of all our effort is at hand. I must see to the preparations for the inaugural ceremony. Thank you for allowing me to monopolize your services, Amber. I am certain the antecedent will be relieved to see you're free for other dues. Heretical harassment. Minfili appears eager to welcome you back to Revenant's Toll. Greetings, Amber. Alphinaud tells me all is in place to begin his trial company. The Scions shall certainly be grateful to have the support of such an organization. The inaugural ceremony is set to take place here at the Rising Stones. Tataru is cooperating with Alphinaud to see that all is in readiness, so I'm afraid the recruits themselves have been left to their own devices for the time being. Quite a number of new faces have arrived in Revenant's Toll of late, and I wonder if Slaffborn might not find himself overwhelmed. Would you speak with him and see if there is aught he requires? What can I do for you, Amber? I thought you'd have your hands full helping out with this new arm of the Scions. Huh, I barely noticed your recruits arrived. 'Twas barely a trickle compared to the flood of treasure hunters we have passed through here every day. While I appreciate your offer and aid, it's more your burden that concerns me. I'm told this trial company will answer directly to the antecedents, so I trust that means less work for you in the long run. Slaffborn, the shipment, we couldn't... Gods, woman, what befell? We were bringing a shipment to Revenant's Toll, provisions earmarked for the frontier effort. But just as we sought to cross over into Mordana, we were set upon by brigands. I believe they may have been heretics. They were many, too many. We only escaped with our lives by abandoning the supplies. Pray forgive us. There is naught to forgive. Provisions can be replaced, but smart soldiers are hard to find. Take your rest, and I'll have someone along to tend to those wounds. What to do? If heretics are involved, then this is like to be more than a case of simple thievery. Ishgard will need to be informed. Whence did these supplies originate? House Fortomps, we collected the provisions from Camp Dragonhead proper. Understood. I shall see that they are apprised of this development. Amber, were you not on good terms with the Knights of House Fortomps? I will be sending them a missive immediately, of course, but I would also have you travel there and offer your considerable talents. Yes, I realize I contradict my earlier hopes to lighten your load, but I need someone who can help bring this incident to a satisfactory conclusion. Our favorable relations with Ishgard are far too important to risk half measures. Okay. Thank you for your understanding. I am certain Lord Haurchefant will be glad of your assistance. Off we go. Well, well, if it isn't my fine friend Amber. Would you care for a plate of roast caracal? Some mulled wine? No? Ah, I see you have not come into my hall merely to escape the biting cold. I was, in fact, on the verge of opening an urgent missive from Revenant's Toll, and I suspect the timing of your arrival is no coincidence. When the cold sets in, Lord Haurchefant awaits confirmation of the reason for your visit to Camp Dragonhead.
The incident with the new frontier hands? No, you need not elaborate. I have been following their progress with no small amount of interest. Brave men and women all. They do our nation a great service. The existence of a fortified outpost in Mordona will do much to dissuade the Empire from trespassing on Kurthus soil. Right glad am I that you have chosen to lend your support to this endeavor. Never let it be said that House Fortomps does not acknowledge the efforts of her allies, or her debts. 'Twas in the spirit of gratitude that I arranged for sundry supplies to be delivered to Revenant's Toll. That the shipment should chance to be waylaid by heretics is poor fortune indeed. Poor fortune, I say, yet not without precedent. If you would know the truth of it, these incorrigible villains grow more organized with each passing day. This new unity of purpose we attribute to their leader, the Lady Iceheart. But though I have devoted significant resources to the task of identifying this woman, we have yet to learn so much as her birth name. What we do know is that the heretics speak of Iceheart in reverent tones, and would gladly embrace death rather than betray her. Such loyalty is rare indeed, and I fear to imagine what so committed a collective might achieve. The brigands have not yet been so brazen as to risk direct confrontation here in Dragonhead. Some few of their number have, however, been sighted not far to the west of here, and with ever-increasing regularity. A visit to Whitebrim Front may bring you the answers you seek. Will you brave the snows, knowing what implacable foes may lie in wait? Hallone's blessings be upon you! Though I take no pride in the admission, many of mine own countrymen are not so well suited as you adventurers to dealing with such foes. Were they dragons, it might be otherwise. But truly, I could not wish for a finer ally. You have done much for my house in the past, and I have no doubt but that I shall have cause to celebrate your deeds again ere long. Should you learn aught of value, pray return to me forthwith. A warm hearth and a warmer welcome shall be waiting for you.
Such a wholesome character. Amber, is there aught you would ask of me? Pray speak plainly. I am a man of action and need no honeyed words. On the trail of a band of thieving heretics, you say? By the Fury, but do you seem destined to cross paths with those villains? I must confess, then, 'tis a sad truth that the wilds hereabouts have indeed grown thick with their numbers. They strike swiftly, without warning, and are canny enough to evade our most able trackers. But 'tis not merely their newfound organization that confounds us. The heretics themselves seem somehow changed. I know not what manner of influence this ice heart wields, but the men we face seem utterly lost in the grip of righteous fervor. 'Tis an unsettling and unnatural zeal. Mayhap you would care to question one of their recent victims? As fate would have it, your arrival came moments after a trader was waylaid on the road. Patrol found the unfortunate fellow lying senseless in the snow and carried him to our infirmary. Assuming he has regained the use of his faculties, the merchant might recall some small detail that could aid you in your task. Tell you what happened? Why, yes, of course. I am quite recovered enough for that. Anything to help catch those cowardly Blackhearts. I was traveling my usual route to White Brim Front, when a sudden blow sent me reeling. The next thing I know, I was on the ground and several heretics were rifling through my cargo. Arms, armor, crystals, they were taking everything. 'Twas then that one of them noticed my bleary gaze and stalked over to better acquaint my head with his mace. Before darkness claimed me, however, I distinctly heard the words, "Return to Snowcloak." I dare say that is where they were hauling my goods, but you'll not catch me rushing off in pursuit. They tell me 'twas a miracle I survived at all, and I'll not trust my thick skull to save me a second time. I don't think so, dear. Gah, draw your weapon, foul. Wait, I recognize you, adventurer. You are come seeking heretics. Then we share a common purpose. We are on patrol when we chanced across one of their raiding parties and pursued them here. By rights, we should have had them cornered in this ravine, and yet they are gone, vanished like icy wraiths. You glimpsed a woman atop the cliff? Could it be Iceheart herself come to sneer at our folly? And to where did she disappear? The heretics must have discovered a passage through the frozen wall, some hidden tunnel that escaped our notice. We have not the men to risk further investigation. 'Twould be best were we to return to Whitebrim Front and lay our suspicions before Lord Ramuh. Or just, send me in there and I have a big axe on my back and I can smash through ice. Amber, it appears I owe you my thanks once again. The surviving knights spared no detail in their report. The men you found out in your snow cloak were some of my finest. That they should be bested so handily, I fear I have woefully underestimated the threat these heretics pose. While I understand you might balk at the notion, I must ask that you put aside your mission and consider the stolen provisions lost to us for now. 'Twould be ill-advised to blunder unprepared into what may well be the very lair of our enemy. Pray return to Dragonhead and inform Lord Haurchefant of your discoveries. He will wish to plan contingencies of his own. As for Iceheart and her fanatics, the freezing heights of Snowcloak will not shield them from our justice for long.
Your return is most timely. Of their own accord, my thoughts had turned to your task and the progress thereof. I confess my imaginings tended toward the grim and bloody. But you are here now, and I suspect such frivolous wonderings do little justice to the reality of your travails. Tell me, what did you learn of Iceheart? Indeed, and this transpired at Snowcloak? Of all the highlands, that towering wall has borne the worst of the region's brutal shift in climate. So inhospitable has Snowcloak become that we have still to survey the area in its entirety. Could its frozen heights conceal the heretics' hideaway? Mayhap a more robust reconnaissance effort is in order. Putting such considerations aside for the moment, we still know far too little of this Iceheart. That she is capable of commanding such a band of fanatics bespeaks natural authority, and no small measure of charisma. As much as I would like to fathom this mystery with you, the situation has grown beyond my personal purview. I am bound by duty to inform the Temple Knights and request that they bring this matter to its conclusion. Given the glowing reports the new commander has garnered thus far, I am certain that they can be relied upon to take appropriate action. Though Iceheart's true identity yet eludes us, you have provided us with a point from which to begin. Sometimes it takes but a single stone to prompt an avalanche. On the matter of the stolen provisions, I have already made arrangements for a second shipment to be sent to Revenant's Toll. I could not well allow such an honorable venture to be undermined by one miserable setback.
Are you sure it's not going to get hijacked? Amber, it is good to see you return to the toll. How fared you in the frozen wastes of Kurthus? House Four Toms is to send us a second shipment? I must send thanks to Lord Haurchefant for his continued generosity. Yet even as our town grows in prosperity, I fear it will attract ever greater numbers of those who would do us harm in the name of greed or power. All of us, Alphinaud's new recruits included, must remain vigilant against such threats. Yeah, give me money. Brave new companions. Slaffborn has news on the progress of the inaugural ceremony. While you were away in Kurthus, preparations for inaugural ceremony were all but completed, although Tataru does yet seem somewhat flustered. I've taken enough of your time. Why don't you head into the Rising Stones and see if your frenetic receptionist could do with a hand? These parchments need to be sorted, and these documents, why are they even here? Oh, I am sorely tempted to file the lot in my waste paper basket. Amber, you startled me. You wish to lend a hand? Splendid. Would you be a dear and hand these uniforms to the new recruits? They're scattered about Revenant's Toll, and I haven't the time to track them all down. The recruits know to don their garb immediately and assemble here in the Rising Stones. You'll want to report directly back to Alphinaud if you don't wish to miss the ceremony. I wonder if the Scions will ever have matching uniforms. A well-funded organization is a well-dressed organization, I suppose. Yeah, okay. Time to go pin the uniform on the miscreant. Those who believe this company will see no riches are short-sighted fools. The giving of oneself 'tis an investment in the future. Thus did I sign my name to the cause. These uniforms were a splendid idea. Once our organization has made a name for itself, there shall be wealth aplenty in selling replica costumes to the adoring masses. I thought it best to mimic my fellows here, but I admit that I have no idea what we're supposed to be doing. Ah, our new uniforms. I am reminded of my induction into the Wood Whalers. Hi, Illbird. I don't believe we've met. I'm Illbird, and I have the honor of leading my fellow recruits as captain. Much did I lose in the calamity, and I look forward to aiding others in rebuilding their lives. The uniforms are a shrewd decision. There is no easier method of creating a common bond among what is, essentially, a band of strangers. This scarlet garb marks me as a proud member of the Maelstrom, and a hearty defender of Limsa Lominsa, yet in truth I stand for the betterment of the realm, and thought this new company a fine opportunity to contribute on a grander scale. Oh ho, now that's a striking shade of blue. Put alongside my Maelstrom uniform, my wardrobe will certainly not lack for color. Isildur has at last retired from the adventurer's life. Though I shall miss his wisdom and irrepressible spirit, I am excited to forge my own path forward. Ah yes, the uniform. Thank you. Truth be told, the thought of pledging myself to such a lofty organization is somewhat intimidating. Hello there, lass. Looking for me, was ya? I'd suggest giving a whistle, but I'm not sure as I'd hear it amongst all the bustle. Oh, proper uniforms and all. This thing'll cut off the blood to me head. Not to worry though, I'm sure she'll be fine after making a few adjustments. Little Alamigo could learn much from Revenant's Toll, and that this town can be so alive in the midst of such desolation. I've never worn aught attire so voluminous. Well, I'm sure I'll grow accustomed to the extra cloth in time. Amber? Gods, I did not expect to meet you strolling about town. The tales of your primal battles were what inspired me to come to Revenant's Toll. 'Tis an honor to receive this uniform from your hands. I shall wear it with pride. So, while I return to Alphinaud and the Rising Stones, I'd like to thank you all for joining me for this installment of my Final Fantasy XIV story playthrough. I hope it was enjoyable, aside from my poor job at voice acting. As always, feel free to give feedback in the comments below or just to say hi. I may not respond, but I do read all my comments. Feel free to follow the links to my socials below and drop by Twitch to say hi. Tap that sub button if you want to see what I'm up to on YouTube, and as always, thanks for watching and I hope you all take care. I hope to see you guys for the next video, and until then, stay safe and ciao.